What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another week of picks here on Every Day. We're covering Super Bowl 59 on tap here this weekend. And of course, that's what all of our picks are going to be about. SJ, I know it's been ramping up. We've seen all the traditional media hoopla that surrounds this week. And I think the city of New Orleans is getting ready for hopefully a fun party of football here on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how I preferred not having the extra week in there just because you get into this a little bit overkill when it comes to, especially with the media row and all that type of thing. But we made it past that pretty much. We're on the final stretch and it's almost game time. It looks like something up to be a good one. Not a bunch of on the field type of storylines, which maybe that's a good thing because it seems like any news that comes out was probably not going to be good news at this point.
Well, we haven't had any stories yet about anybody, getting lost on Bourbon Street or finding themselves at the, Justin Tucker massage parlor or anything. But we're so far so good. Nobody's been deemed out of the game. Of course, usually like we don't know that until 2 minutes before kickoff or something like that when they don't show up. But so far so good. None of that bad news yet here for the game.
Yeah, it's like no news is good news type of thing. So at least if you're, have a rooting interest, or if you're definitely on one of the teams, the quieter the better, as much as that's possible with the Super Bowl week.
Well, we've got some fun stuff going on for you. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about this at the end as well. But we do have the every day we're covering Super Bowl 59 prop pool available for you. So check that out if you're following us on the different social media platforms. We have that posted and available for you. So it shows you all the things that we're picking. And then there's a simple form you go to make your picks and submit them. So try to make it as easy as possible for you. And then, little cheese thrown in there, a little spoils for whoever is most correct on all those picks. So we hope you get involved with that. We'll remind you here at the end as well. It should be some fun to go with that. And then, of course, now we're going to talk about our regular kind of gameplay picks that we would have here for the game this week. Might be a few things in there that are a little bit more on the quirky side as well, because that's what's tradition when you're betting the Super Bowl. You're going to do some different things rather than just who's winning and that type of stuff. So we'll take a look at what we think is going to be good here for this game. Obviously, we've talked on the show a lot about how we think the game is going to play and what type of game it will be. I don't know. My opinion really hasn't changed on that front. I still think, it's going to be a lot of the Eagles trying to run the ball, which they've done really well here lately. And, the Chiefs obviously trying to slow that down, and then just sticking with what's been working with them. Kind of that short passing game is what really has been successful. Getting backs involved in that too, I think will still be a key to their success. They're going to have to be able to run it a little bit better than they did last time around for sure. But I think that's kind of, there's no real secrets, I don't think, in this game on, who has to do what to be able to win.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. At least it would seem like at this point, and I do think it may be a factor whether it's successful or not. The deep ball might be a little bit more in play just to keep that defense honest and not cheat up too much, and really kind of key on the tight ends or even just running backs out of the backfield. So that may be something there. But I mean, on the other side, it's a lot of it's about Barkley, of course, and that's we said as many times as we've been on when spoke together or have it documented. You're going to load up to stop him, whether you can or can't. That's a different question. And on top of that, though, you might have to be of the mindset where it's like it's one of those players where like he's going to get his. We just have to limit everything else, and that might be a key to the game as well. And of course, I mean it's an obvious thing, it's an easy thing, but turnovers is also another thing that plays in, and then of course special teams on top of that. So with being this close of a game, you got to figure there's going to be a player here, a player or two here or there that's really going to probably come down to deciding the end game here when you have a 1.5 point spread. That's just basically, I mean, and that's the way I kind of see it too. It's essentially a coin flip. It's either team could win. It's really hard to kind of pick a side when you're looking at wanting to have like an accurate pick of a winner. Now, there's some value on some other picks. We'll get into those and even maybe looking at that total. But as far as a winner, I mean, that's anybody's guess. It'd almost be better and beneficial if you have a rooting interest, because then maybe that could lean you one way or the other. Because other than that, there's not a lot of separation with how successful these two teams have been this season.
Yeah. I definitely see where you're coming from there for sure. So let's dive into it, get into our picks here. And because you just alluded to that, obviously, I have a rooting interest. I'm rocking the Priest Holmes vintage Chiefs jersey here. And actually, as a fan, of course, you buy yourself into a lot of things as a fan sometimes. But the more and more I've thought about this game, the more and more I think that the Chiefs still have the advantage here. I do think it's going to be a close game. I'm not saying that I think they're going to blow them out of the water or anything, but I think they're going to find a way to win this thing again, just because they do a lot of the little things right. And in these games, they've had some of those kind of play, the big plays, whether it be a long deep ball that saved, a drive, or a punt return that was huge in the game. They've found ways to get those little things here and there to make a win. So this is how I'm kind of thinking with some of these picks too, and it may come back to bite me, but I'm just trying to get better value on things here and not just picking little things straight up. So I'm kind of putting things together, so to speak, I guess. So I'm going to kind of parlay a lot of things together, at least just two picks together. So as far as the winner is concerned, that's not going to get you a lot. You're looking at minus 115 if you're just going the money line. So I'm going Chiefs money line. And then I'm going to pair that with the over. I think this game goes over. Both teams are going to be able to put some points on the board. Like we talked about, it's stopping some of the strengths of each team, and you're just not going to be able to do that in totality, I don't think, for either of these defenses. So that's where I'm going. So the number I had lately is 48.5. So that has come down just a touch, I think, from where it started. So I'm going Chiefs money line over 48.5. I was getting plus 257 putting those together in Caesars. So that's my first one. I like going there.
Yeah, I like the over as well. And honestly, it was 50.5 when I first saw it and dropped a couple of points. So that's kind of why I jumped on it. I wasn't even wanting to mess with that when it was that high, because that seems like you're kind of being baited into something that you're not necessarily that confident in. But 2 points less seems a little bit more doable. And that sounds also weird to say, considering how good these offenses are. But there's still a reason that line is where it is, and it's a little lower than you'd expect. So giving me this couple extra points, I felt more comfortable. I mean, even if you're on the Eagles side there with the money line right now, I'm looking, it's only plus 100. So that's not even a lot of value for a quote upset pick. That's not even a great return on investment. So I'm staying away from a winner, honestly. If I was more confident, and I do think if the Eagles are going to win, it's probably going to be by at least a touchdown and more. Obviously, that's not going on a limb considering how many close games in a row the Chiefs have won. You're going to have to, maybe hope for, get an early lead, big lead, and then kind of maybe hold them off, or somehow you get a couple of big 3 plays in a row, like at late in the game, or, a turnover of special teams play, and kind of build an advantage that way. But the close game, definitely, no matter what, if you're being honest with yourself, if you're an Eagles fan or a Chiefs fan, you gotta say that close game would favor the team that wins most of the close games. That was the, I'll go with the over match on that one. And then the pick that honestly I was fairly, this probably might be one of my more confident picks, which sounds weird considering what I just said last one, but either team to score 30 points or more. So I mean, obviously, just kind of going along that over number there. If somebody maybe gets a lead and pulls away, or if we have a a back and forth affair, then you're sitting pretty good there. So it doesn't matter who it is. I kind of like that pick as well, just because of that fact. Me being riding the fence here, trying not to, but I just I want to be right. That's my goal here. Don't care who wins, don't care who loses. I want to be right. So that's why I'm just going on something where either team can get me to this number here. So that was one of them. I got about 4 total here bets, and that's the second one I'll throw out there is the ones I'm most confident in. We're gonna have a pretty extended list here. We'll put it out a graphic here in the next day or so of all the prop bets we like. That'll be different from that sheet that you mentioned with the contest, but we'll just go with a 4-pack here for me, at least on the video version here, and that'll be my second one I'll play, is that either team to score 30 points or more.
Okay, I like that too, and yeah, it plays along exactly with the over, like you're talking about there. That's a good pick. The next one that I'm going to roll with here is I'm going to do an anytime touchdown score with a couple of guys, and not on the team that I'm rooting for. I think Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley both get in the end zone. It's pretty obvious that those are the two guys that would be the most likely to do it on that team. Not to say that they don't have some good receivers and even a good tight end, But it gets down to those situations. We all know how Philadelphia loves to run the tush push and be able to get in and score like that. And I would expect them to be able to do that once in this game on the goal line. And then Barkley, just the way he's playing, it just seems likely that he's going to find a way to get in the end zone here at some point. So putting those two together for anytime touchdowns, you're getting plus 188. So not a huge number, but at least it's a little bit of something juice there. That's pretty low for two guys to get a score, but that shows you how much Vegas also thinks that these guys are going to score. So I'm going to roll with those two together.
I'm kind of along the same lines as on that one with you, at least as far as the anytime touchdowns pairing a couple of players. But I went with both of the running backs, or at least two running backs, I guess, depending on what you consider them a starter or not. Chiefs kind of rotate guys through pretty well there, but I'm going to go with Barkley and Hunt both to score a touchdown. Worked well for me conference championship, not last week, and seems like Hunt's kind of, at least from my vantage point's kind of been the short yardage guy or the goal line guy, or just really kind of seemed like there's been a lot of play designs for him to get in the end zone. I know there's there's been some stories about how last time it was McKinnon who kind of slid down and didn't score, and then the next Super Bowl they try to get him a touchdown. So that a lot of people thinking that might be the case with Hunt this time. They really wanted to get him in the end zone, considering he was there, left, he came back. So a little bit of storyline there. But honestly, I just think he's their at this right now. He's playing best at running back. I don't say he's their best running back, but Pacheco's coming off that serious injury, and he's still kind of just finding his way back into form. So I think Hunt's a little bit safer of an anytime touchdown there. So I'll go with him and Barkley to get in the end zone for that'll be my third pick, I guess, out of 4.
Yeah, like that too. Next one I'm going to go with here is with the guy that would be obviously the most likely to win MVP if the Chiefs do win the game, in Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go with the overs here for this guy. Over 252.5 yards passing, and then also over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think he accomplishes both of those. Did bite me last time. He didn't get there with the passing touchdowns in the championship game. But I feel like there's going to be, even for yours to come true and for him to throw a couple, that's probably going to happen. I think the Chiefs are going to score 4-5 times in this game. So I'm going to feel pretty good about him being able to accomplish what he wants to through the air. Chiefs are going to lean on that air attack too, just because that's what's worked here recently. And when you get to the big game, you want your best player to be the one that has the ball in his hands. So I think that's what they'll lean on. And you mentioned, taking a couple of shots too. I think both teams are going to do that, trying to throw the ball downfield. So that bodes well for him to get that yardage racked up. So putting those two together gets you a little extra juice there. So I'm going with that.
For my last one, I kind of went defensive side of things here, and it probably hasn't been the season that we've kind of come to expect, but still, obviously a solid year and always kind of a presence there in the middle with Chris Jones. Anytime sack, just one, that's all we need, and that's plus money, plus 130 right now. If you're feeling like he's going to really have a breakout game, and honestly, this isn't even that abnormal from what he did in the playoffs last year, even a couple games this year. If you think he can get 2 sacks, that's plus 670. And like I said, I know he hasn't been going crazy, and because there's been games in the past when they've been on this run, it's where he's had 2 or 3 sacks in a quarter. So I mean, there you go, you're cashing right away. So I know maybe a little bit more of a risk on that end, of course, with over plus 600 plus, but even just 1 sack, you're still getting the plus money. Combine it with another pick like that, and you might really get some good value off that. But I think you can get 1 sack. I don't think that's too much of a tall task, especially with I mean, I know they're still pretty solid there, but they have had some injury kind of up and down there at center position and in the middle of the line there with Philly. So if there's any hangover from that last game, they might have an option there at least. All you need is 1 play, so it's not like we're asking them to. Of course, the Chiefs fans and that team wants them to raise hell all game, but all I need is 1 good play, buddy.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and he's kind of known to be a guy too that he steps up in the bright moments.
Yeah.
Like he's earned his money that way. That's a reason he got paid and stayed in KC, because he does it in the big game. And I think you're onto something there. And that would be pretty tempting to look at the 2. That's a nice juicy one there. I'm going to go with one that's pretty juicy as well here. This is probably obviously not near as likely. I don't think I would probably play the Jones 2 sacks before I'd play this one, like confidence wise. But I just like the way that it's like a storyline thing. So I just feel like sometimes those things seem to happen in these kinds of games. So I'm going DeAndre Hopkins for anytime touchdown score. A guy that's been around the league and played great football and just never had the chance to compete with a great team, and now he's finally got that opportunity. There's been the stories this week, talking about he's got the suit that his dad gave him to wear, or the coat, whatever it is to wear here for the either Super Bowl Sunday or whatever he wanted to do, the big moment in his life. So he's doing it here this Sunday. Obviously, he's got a great relationship with his mother that's been well documented. So just seems like it's that storybook thing that's going to happen for somebody like him. So I'm going to go with that. It was plus 500 when I was looking at it. So that's some pretty good return if you can get that to hit and just put a little on there. So I like that. That's kind of the one I'm throwing out there. It's a little bit more of a long shot, so to speak.
I'll give you one too, just to cap it off here, and it's kind of more of the along the lines of probably some of the plays I was looking at. I guess fun plays, long shots, whatever you want to call them. But of course, I can't find the odds now, so I'll put them. We'll get them out there later, and we'll put picks out there. But it was for Mahomes and Hurts to each throw one interception. So half was the number, half interception. Of course, you don't expect a lot of turnovers, but one's not asking a lot in a game like this tight of a game. You get a tip pass. You get a crazy play. I mean, someone takes a shot downfield. There you go. You get your pick, and it doesn't necessarily affect the game too much. But I do know it's a plus money bet, and it's one of those fun extra plays. It's not like won't be a lot of confidence, but there's a more along the lines of the things that we'll be putting on the graphic later in the week to give you kind of those extra extra value bets, or just something if you want to take a chance on it, and will make the game more interesting. Maybe you don't have a team on at one side or the other, and you just want to keep things going and not just, you're not worried about that final number. This will give you something to track all the way through.
All right. So that's kind of our main picks here for the game. As we said, we're also going to add a bunch of others on here, because, why not have some fun and make a bunch of picks during the Super Bowl? That's what it's all about. So we'll have the graphic up that'll give you all the rest of them as well, so you can check those out. And like we said, those are going to be different also from the ones we have in the prop pool. So we'll also attach that information for you. There is a link you follow to go to the form to fill out and make your picks. And then, you submit your extra skin in the game, and then I might give some rewards then down the road if you're the one that gets the most correct. We've got 20 props on it. So it's whoever picks the most correctly. If we get a tie, I guess we're going to go to the coin flip or whatever we're going to do there to settle that bad boy. We'll figure that out if that comes to fruition.
Might have to break out the boxing gloves. We'll figure something here.
Yeah. So have some fun with that. We hope some people get involved. It's another thing to keep you entertained, I guess, while you're watching the game. So we hope you do that. I will say one thing I did jot down as far as some of those things are concerned. Obviously, one of them always is the anthem, and I'm feeling pretty good leaning towards the over on the anthem time, because that's the way it's trended this last decade. And this John Batiste, who's doing this, is New Orleans native, family's well documented in the music business down there, and it sounds like he's like just a super talented guy that can play like any instrument possible. So it may be one of those deals where he's kind of throwing in a little extra riff here and there to make this thing more, a little spice it up a little bit. So I think that pushes it towards the over. So if you're looking for a fun prop that you might have a little extra lean towards, I like that one.
Yeah, and speaking of those fun props, I always kind of, I know the coin toss gets a bad rap, but when you think about it, not many bets in the gambling world are going to give you 50-50 odds. So, I mean, I'm not saying, mortgage your house or anything like that, but at the same time, if, I would advise maybe going a little heavier than you would think, considering the odds that you have there, because even when we talk about the ones we're confident in, even the Barkley to score a touchdown or the Mahomes over passing yards, things that were like, Jones sack, we're like, we're pretty confident in this, but none of those are even close to 50-50 odds.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all I'll say about that. I mean, I'm not saying go heavy, but you got to think about that too. It is a fairly odds wise, you have a pretty good favor there.
Yeah, house doesn't have the advantage there. It's like the red or black and the zero's not on the table. So there you go. Give yourself a chance. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. We hope you have some fun watching the big game. Obviously, we'll have our reaction down the road for that for you on the next pod. So you'd be on the lookout early next week when we get that bad boy hammered out for you and get our reactions to the game. Obviously, recap these picks that we have here for you as well. So we would love it if you would like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Available on all the major platforms, including our host at Spotify. Just search Every Day We're Covering. And then, of course, like, subscribe, get the notifications here on this YouTube channel, because we'll continue to put out picks videos like this. So all year round, we're going to move on to other sports as well. So throwing things at you from time to time. And of course, the big events when they come up and roll around in the sports world, we'll do that. So we hope you join us, join the prop pool as well. Be on the lookout for that. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Get the beverages ready, get the food ready, whatever it is that makes you happy. We hope you're doing it on Sunday, SJ.
Hey, I mean, I'll admit it too. I'm one of those guys. I don't really like eating during the game, so I'm usually done there about 4 o'clock with my vittles, and I'm on to the drink. So I don't know what I don't like eating during the game. I want to watch it. So I'm sure there's a lot that can feel that out there. So I'll be done early with those wings and what have you.
All right. So have some fun with it. Thanks for joining us again for another week of picks here on Every Day We're Covering. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. We'll see you next time for some more covers.